is the ratio, patrol officers versus sergeants, that we have for coverage, is what I'm getting at? 2 and 1, 1 and 1?
You said 2
3
and 1,
and
sometimes 3 and 1.
Usually do two and one. There are times when, depending on the schedule, it just works out on the rotation that there is 3 and 1. The note that the captain made here was that the detectives, their time for that week was all helping cover patrol.
Okay, so you paid detectives 16 hours overtime to cover patrol, and we paid patrol 41 and a half hours overtime to cover patrol. Is that right?
He said it's all patrol, but these detectives are working
Well,
patrol.
that's what I'm saying. I just want to clarify. The detectives covered patrol working 16 hours OT, and patrol covered patrol working 41 and a half hours OT.
So it's actually a lot more than that.
So patrol is 57 and a half hours that we paid just in that 1 week to have. I guess my question is why are we paying detectives? But do we not have enough patrol officers out there? How many?
Well, I couldn't answer that without having every individual timesheet here where we have to break it out, because that is done and the captain and the staff go through it every Monday. In general, the detectives have been working as OICs many times because rank-wise they have, their seniority. But again, without having all their individual time slips in front of me, I can't answer that.
I think we would need that, and the reason I say that is so we can see how many bodies are doing what. I don't care about the names and who they are, but the bodies, and how much is it costing us to have that amount of people out on the road. Because when I start going from January, that's 1 week, so we're looking at, I'm not going to count dispatch because to me that's a whole different situation.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're still, the first week, the week ending January 23rd is 98 and a quarter hours overtime. The following week is 114 hours of overtime. The following week is 124 hours of overtime. The week after that, 132 and a half hours overtime. So,
And then going back to 66, almost 67 the week after.
yeah, and then the week after that, it jumps up to 133 and a half.
And then it goes to 82.75. Boy, this is a situation, if you had part-time people, it wouldn't be costing you this kind of money.
So when I look at that, I'm looking at the overtime budget. I'm concerned how many people we have actually working it. Is it forced overtime? Is it volunteer overtime? To me, that's important, and that would be something that I would think that you would want to look at.
I look at the slips every week.
No, I'm not saying you're not looking at it. What I'm saying is that's something that you can explain to us why this is occurring, what's happening.
Yeah, you see that when you look at the time slips, every hour over their minimum has to be accounted for, and that's on every single time slip.
All right, so I guess my question is, why are we spending so much on overtime? So is there not enough coverage, not enough of bodies?
Or is it to attain the 3 and 1?
To attain the 3 and 1, it's just to keep going. I mean, you do have people that call, without having, again, the hard information in front of me, generally, and again, like you said, not counting court, people taking vacation time, people calling in sick, staying at the end of the shift to do a report. Like I said, that's the normal things that you always have pop up.
If you look at throughout the...
Where's the corresponding overtime dollar figure?
Right here.
For the month, week 35 and 52, what's the date? Do we have that? No, that's when it was generated.
Well,
what's the date? Because I'd like to correspond.
I'll tell you if I look at
let's pull this one, yeah, let's look at this.
I'll tell you once I look at the manifest number for the payroll. Overtime. Oh, this is not even here, 9,000. That's February 11th.
Can we dig up on that matrix that you have? A week ending 2/13 of 11? It's gonna be, we don't have that, right?
Well, it must be this one, and this is the one I'm looking at here. She got overtime, well, that's January. That's not, she got it as February, but she got it as the,
Francine, do you know where that would be, this?
I got it right here.
You have it?
Okay, right here. Here's the thing. February 6th.
Week
Right.
ending 2/13.
Right here, that's,
So that's $5,000 in overtime, almost $5,000 in overtime, right? And that's for sergeant, detectives, and patrol. Patrol was 63.25 hours overtime. That's not counting court and stuff, right?
well, I think it must be included court. You can't discount the fact that court is not
Well,
included.
the court would be included in the,
5,000,
The-
right, right.
would have to deduct. I
They had
guess-
27 and a quarter hours for court.
Right. I guess my question would be, can you look up, chief, that week,
Sure, week ending February 3rd.
13th.
13th, and see what the manpower was at that time, and were we covering 3 and 1, were we covering 2 and 1, people on vacation, banging out sick, whatever the story
You
might
had
be?
detectives,
Basically a snapshot of that week.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, because it looks like detectives covered patrol with 16
In
hours.
hours, right.
And what's with the 4 hours of comp time? Or they take comp time instead of overtime?
Right,
At
they
their-
have the choice, right.
Right, okay. I mean, that looked like it was a big week.
132 point and a half.
I mean, I imagine 16. So out of detectives, only 11 and a half hours was used out of that overtime to do detective duties. The other 16 hours was to use covering patrol. So not, and they were the OIC, I take it? That's probably why they were covering too.
Again, without looking at
Roughly.
it, but generally that's true.
Instead of having,
Well, they could have been filling in as the second officer if there was already a supervisor or sergeant on that shift, say somebody called in sick.
right,
You know, so it couldn't be either way.
any reason why you wouldn't have patrol, the senior patrol officer, cover as officer in charge?
We do a combination of that too. Because remember, we only have so many sergeants, and we're trying to keep the detectives, you know, doing their primary job as much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking at it operational wise, of making a senior patrol officer the officer in charge, instead of making a detective. They get different pay, like a patrol officer will get different pay as an officer in charge versus a detective getting pay as an officer in charge, right? Two different pay scales.
Right.
I'd be curious to see what the makeup is of that week.
Of that week, sure. So the week ending February 13th.
Yes. know if anybody was forced versus volunteered, if it's given out. I assume that the officers would be given the opportunity to work overtime as opposed to being forced.
Yes,
Right.
when the
Be a last
schedule's, right, when the
resort.
schedule's put together, Patrol Lieutenant puts up a list of holes, if there are any holes to begin with, so people can have a chance to pick and choose, and generally everybody works pretty well together as far as, and we, you know, we allow shift swaps too, so, so usually I don't believe we're doing that much force, because people are able to, you know, we give them, we're looking at it as long as we can fill the shifts we need to protect the town, you know, we work with the officers to fill the shifts and move them around.
I guess, Chief, here's my observation of it. I just added up the total number of overtime hours. Chief?
Yep.
I just added up the total number of overtime hours that were not court-related, and you're talking about 456 hours. I guess, from my observation, I think it's unfortunate that we did not try to get some part-timers,
But
because
we're going in that direction. thought we were
I
gonna
know,
have-
but I'm saying before this, because this is utterly ridiculous. You're talking about, for 1 month, this is what the cost is right here. You're talking about, I'm not even including the court here.
With the-
Okay, I'm just telling you, 456 hours that are overtime. That's expensive. It's expensive business.
I was under the impression, Chief, that we were going forward with advertising for part-timers.
I have to go back to my notes. I think we talked about the requirements of what our standings were now, but I don't remember being directed to continue further. We were trying to fill the full-time positions, which we did.
Right.
And we then stopped at that point.
I thought we were going to put out an ad and see what the ad brought. That's what, isn't that what Butch said? That's what Butch said. I remember it in the minutes. Butch said that. But that's my observation with regard to it. This is costing us dearly, and that's why we're having difficulties. So I think we need to do something about that. The overtime line is killing us.
So what's preventing you from going forward and putting out
For the part-time,
for part-time?
I'd say if now that we're up to full speed with our full-time staff, and we know what the budget is, the commission take a vote to start that process, because again, many years ago, the commission way back and had somewhere along the way decided that it would not have part-time officers. So
Right.
we certainly could do that, but I would ask that the commission is now taking a different position, so the commission take a vote to move forward to establish a part-time, force.
I don't think
Is
we're
there a
taking-
policy,
excuse me,
though?
I don't think we're taking a different position. I thought we took the position about going forward with part-timers. We were taking a different position than what was
Prior.
past practice. And I think we had some lengthy discussions about going forward with part-time, looking into getting part-timers. We discussed what we're going to pay, what the pay scale might be. We discussed the qualification issue. I know you spoke about talking to retired Chief Merrill at the Police Standards and Training. I know what you told us about that. I know I told you that I had spoken to them, and I told you what he told me. I thought we were still in that direction. I thought we were still going forward. The last I knew
Well, I thought we were
was
in
to
the,
put out an ad
right.
for that.
Yeah, I'll check with Captain Dale, that might have been in the last ad that went out, to be honest with you. We get into budgets and
I thought that
we
was
concentrate
what,
on the full-time positions.
I thought that's what Butch suggested, that we put out an ad, because he wasn't necessarily convinced that anybody would come forward. But I thought that's what you were going to
Let
do.
me check with Captain Daigle as far as the ad, because what he has for resumes and whatever that came in.
Okay. Do you have any more questions on this?